I moved into a quiet apartment 3 nights ago. Tonight, I realized someone else has been living there longer than me. It was supposed to be a fresh start, a new job, a new city, and a cheap apartment that felt almost too good to be true. Old, yes, but it had character. Or so I thought. The first evening was quiet, just the sound of tape tearing and the distant hum of the city. I was exhausted, ready to sink into sleep and forget the stress of the move, but as the clock ticked past midnight, the silence of the building began to feel heavy, like the walls were holding their breath, waiting for something. Then I heard it, slow, rhythmic footsteps in the hallway outside. Thud, thud, thud. But I was the only one on this floor. The building was supposed to be empty. I threw the door open, my heart hammering against my ribs. Nothing. Just the long, silent corridor, bathed in the sickly yellow glow of a single light. No one was there. Night 2 brought a different kind of unease. I went to the kitchen for a drink of water, only to find the cabinet I had specifically closed earlier, standing wide open, and there, on the counter, sat a glass filled to the brim. I hadn't touched it. I hadn't even unpacked the glasses yet. My hands began to shake as I poured it down the sink. 3:12 a.m. The sound woke me like a gunshot. Scratching, not the scurrying of a mouse, but something larger, something with nails, dragging them slowly behind the plaster. It sounded like someone was trapped, like they were trying to find a way out, or maybe trying to find a way in. I stayed awake until the sun came up, staring at that wall. Then the whispers started. Faint, breathy sounds that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. They weren't words at first, just a low, guttural murmur that made my skin crawl. But eventually, they became clear. They were calling my name, a soft, wet sound like a tongue clicking against teeth. Elias, it breathed. I knew I had to leave, but I couldn't move. Objects began to migrate. A book left on the table would appear on the floor. My keys would vanish, only to be found in the freezer. The apartment didn't feel empty anymore. It felt crowded. The electricity failed on the 7th night. A sudden violent pop, and then nothing. Just the sound of my own frantic breathing and the encroaching shadows. I fumbled for my phone, the light cutting through the dark like a blade. I swept it across the walls, searching for any sign of an intruder. That's when I saw it. I had lived here for a week and never noticed it. A hidden door, built into the very frame of the building. My hand trembled as I reached out to touch the cold wood. It didn't lead to another room. It led into the walls. A narrow crawl space, barely wide enough for a person to slide through. I should have turned back. I should have run. Inside, the signs of life were unmistakable. Someone had been living here, eating, sleeping, and watching me through the gaps in the vents. My heart stopped when I saw the drawings. They were drawings of me. Me sleeping, me eating, me staring at the walls, unaware of the eyes just inches away. The realization was a cold bucket of water over my soul. And then, the sound. A low, wet inhale right behind my ear. Warm air brushed against my neck. I wasn't alone in the wall. I never had been. I spun around, screaming, the light flailing wildly. But the crawl space was empty, a dead end. I scrambled out, slamming the hidden door and shoving the bookshelf back with the strength I didn't know I had. I didn't sleep. I sat in the center of the room with a kitchen knife, waiting for morning, but at 3:12 a.m., I heard the bookshelf slide. I looked up, and the door was open. Again, the footsteps weren't in the hallway anymore. They were in the room. I could hear the floorboards groaning under a weight I couldn't see. Something was walking toward me in the dark. The police found the crawl space. They found the blankets and the food. They told me a man had been living in the walls for years, moving between apartments like a ghost. But there was one problem. The police said the man died months before I ever moved in. Which means whatever was walking in my room that night wasn't him. I moved out the next day, but sometimes at night I still hear footsteps. The problem is, I don't live in an apartment anymore.